'Tis the show before Christmas, and here in our lab, we work with St. Nick to fill up his bag. Tonight, he will cross the Atlantic and Pacific. In the meantime, it's time for Vaguely Scientific. I've never had my picture on bubblegum cards, and how can you say someone is great who's never had his picture on bubblegum cards? I am Derek.
Huh.
Yuck! I've got dog germs. Get hot water. Get some disinfectant. Get Jim, the merry scientist. Hi, Jim.
I brought hand sanitizer.
Oh, that's good. That's specifically what I asked for.
Yeah.
And our guest this week never eats December snowflakes. He always waits until January. Welcome back, Joe.
It's because they're sweeter.
It's because they're sweeter. That makes sense to me. I'm not going to argue. This is the show where we dash through the snow to answer the questions our merry listeners have sent in. We wonder in our winterland if sugar plum fairies in our dreams will dance, and Santa knows who's naughty or nice, and whether we might get some answers right. Before all that, though, I must say it's time for the fun science fact of the day.
That was beautiful.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So, the Star of Bethlehem, which factors into the Christian tradition of Jesus' birth, has been speculated to have been a supernova that occurred in the spring of 4 BCE. There is also an alleged sighting of a comet in 5 BCE as well, which would be another candidate for the phenomenon.
I remember reading about this years ago. I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard the supernova theory before, which is fun.
I think it's so cool how many, supernovas happened in history and people had no idea what it was. And then there were various speculations and sometimes consequences and things like that. But now we can go back and be like, oh, this group of people documented this supernova because it was really important to them in their sky. Right. And now we can go find the nebula that it is attached to.
Yeah.
Supernova remnants.
Heck yeah.
So do we know, for sure that a supernova occurred then?
Yeah. So we know there was a supernova. Whether or not it was actually relevant to the story of the Star of Bethlehem, we don't really know for sure.
Sure, but that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
With that out of the way, I think we should probably dive into our first of our Yuletide questions this year. Question 1 this week comes to us from Dr. Seuss. Was the Grinch's head not screwed on quite right? Was it perhaps that his shoes were too tight? Was his heart, as Seuss guesses, 2 sizes too small? Did we ever learn what the Grinch hated at all? A lot of rhyming in this one. I don't know why I did that.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
So I guess I want to dive in here with the crux of the question, and just the last bit. Did we ever actually learn what the Grinch hated about Christmas? Because I know there are several adaptations of How the Grinch Stole Christmas that have come through the years, and they each have given kind of expansions on the story and speculation to answer that question in particular. And so I've explored some of those in my notes, but looking directly at the original story, we specifically have the Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Don't ask me why. No one quite knows the reason.
Oh, this is interesting. Dr. Seuss's
specific thing. So there's a lot to explore, I think, with that. But from the original source, whether or not he has a reason, we don't know it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was familiar with the cartoon, and so I always think of, the sort of rant he goes on, and he talks about the noise and the parties, and he just hates all the festivities, basically. But apparently that wasn't in the original book then?
Well, the noise is referenced in the original book. The original cartoon is, as far as I remember, pretty faithful adaptation of just the text. So that stuff is in there. But I would point out that the noise makes him cranky. It's one of the things he hates about the season, but it isn't the reason he hates the season, I guess is what I would posit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, because I know in the live action with Jim Carrey,
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
there's the whole aspect of, he was bullied by his classmates in Whoville, except for like this one girl.
Yeah.
And then he's like trying to make a gift for her.
They give him a tragic backstory.
They give him,
They gave him this full tragic backstory where he had no family, he was adopted, and the Who's made fun of him and bullied him, so he ran away.
And no one accepts him except for Cindy Lou who climbs up Mount Crumpet to visit the Grinch's secret lair, which I must say was pretty reckless of her. That's a joke.
Absolutely.
That's a joke because Taylor Momsen grew up to be the singer of a band called The Pretty Reckless.
Oh.
Oh.
That's it. I got my joke in there. We're good.
Fair.
Well, it's also worth mentioning the Illumination Studios version of 2018.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people forgot about it. Apparently, it's not bad. They gave him a different tragic backstory, which is that he grew up in an orphanage and was unwanted and unloved, and therefore never included in the festivities of the Christmas season.
Oh, that is actually, I kind of like that backstory a little more.
It's less so. What the Jim Carrey version does is give him a lot of. It plays in the idea that what he doesn't like about the Christmas season is how superficial it is. And they really lean into that because he has his revelation at the end that, Christmas doesn't come from a store. Perhaps it maybe means just a little bit more. I'm paraphrasing the original text here, but
sure.
The idea being there's more to it and he doesn't realize it. They really lean into the reason he doesn't realize that is because he was mistreated as a child because he was different because of his superficial ugliness, I guess. And that is proven to be what the rest of the Who's also see Christmas as, except for Cindy Lou, who says it shouldn't be about boxes. It shouldn't be superficial. So that is a very anti-bullying take on the Grinch story, I suppose, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
I have to admit I like it better than just he just didn't know how to love. Which is really how it always felt to me growing up.
I saw a take on the internet about this question, which was the quote here: "It's important part of the story that film adaptations ignore. Sometimes a person is just a jerk." That was a quote. I hard disagree with this interpretation of the original book. Seuss says no one quite knows the reason. He does not say there isn't a reason.
Right.
And I think this is an important detail. Here's my thesis. Here's my lecture, everybody. I think this is important because one of the underlying themes of How the Grinch Stole Christmas is sometimes people seem like jerks to us, but we don't ever actually know what's going on in their head. So if I can sermonize for a moment, that's why we should always try to treat others well. If we don't treat others well, someone else could easily ignore our reasoning and just think we're a jerk too. And that's kind of the idea behind the Grinch not understanding Christmas. He hates it because he doesn't understand it. And when he finally does understand it, his heart grows, and he softens to the whole idea. There's a thing in A Christmas Carol, the Charles Dickens story, not just some random song. But I want to point, you know what I meant. I don't know why I had to clarify that. I want to point out that this is Ebenezer Scrooge, this idea that the Grinch has to be shown that people are good, and we need to have sympathy for the Grinch, which I've already told Jim I think is an excellent title for this episode. But but a huge part of A Christmas Carol that is often overlooked in a lot of modern adaptations is that we learn there's a reason Scrooge is curmudgeonly and hates the Christmas season. And it's easy to look at Scrooge as the villain who needs to reform, and it's easy to identify with Bob Cratchit. But it's only part of the book. It's the part of the book that most modern adaptations focus on. But we assume the worst of Scrooge, just as Scrooge assumes the worst of the Cratchits and of his family, Freddie, until he actually sees what they're going through and how he caused them to suffer. And we, as the reader, see how he caused other people to suffer because he was hurt as a child. Like, he genuinely assumes Bob Cratchit is selfish in taking time off for Christmas. He genuinely assumes Freddie doesn't care about him because he had a bad relationship with his family. And that stuff is usually ignored in modern adaptations, which I think is really fascinating, because the original story of the Grinch really doesn't do much of this. So we've kind of added the sympathy for the Grinch into modern adaptations, which is exactly the stuff we have taken out of A Christmas Carol in modern adaptations. So I found that fascinating.
That's fair. Even when you look at going with the conversation about Christmas Carol, my personal favorite adaptation of it is, and I'm sure there's others out here who will agree with me, is
Muppets.
The Muppet Christmas Carol. It's incredible. But what's interesting is that we kind of see that same split, because the theatrical release did include Ebenezer's history with Belle. And kind of his loss of love.
Sure.
But then when that came out on VHS, they cut that.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so actually it's only been recently that they have restored that content, because the footage actually went missing. And they happened to find a version of it that still had it intact. So now if you watch it on Disney Plus, you can choose either release. So you get that. You can either have, the Belle-less story, because it actually cuts a whole song.
Okay.
Or you can get the original that included, oh, darn, I'm blanking on the name of the song.
I don't know that I've seen it, so I don't think I can help you.
That's fair. That is totally fair. When Love Is Gone. That's the name of it. Which is funny, because without that, the callback at the end of the movie when they do When Love Is Found makes no sense.
I think the real crux of the reason I wanted to bring this up is in A Christmas Carol, it's, like I said, it's easy to see Scrooge as the villain who needs to be reformed. But when Charles Dickens wrote it, the intent was that you, the reader, are Ebenezer Scrooge. And in a similar vein, I think Dr. Seuss writing How the Grinch Stole Christmas, because we see the whole thing from his perspective, you are the Grinch. And it's tackling a slightly different avenue, I guess, of the topic, but it is meant to be a personal takeaway rather than a story of someone we know is wrong and needs to be fixed.
Yeah. And I think that's really interesting, just because I feel like a lot of people, at least in my experience, I feel like a lot of people have sort of soured on the concept of Christmas for a lot of the same reasons that the Grinch has sort of traditionally been upset about the Christmas holiday, or maybe to a slightly different extent, maybe the same type of feelings that Charlie Brown has in the Charlie Brown Christmas. So it's kind of interesting to see how a lot of these Christmas stories start with someone who's extremely jaded, and then they sort of learn the true spirit of Christmas in one way or the other.
Yeah, the I looked at a lot of Peanuts quotes in preparing this episode, and
I noticed.
It opens with Charlie Brown saying, I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of it, is we build the holiday season up. We build something up in our brain, and then leading up to it, when it doesn't turn into what we expect it's supposed to be, we disappoint ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Jim said a thing that resonated with me.
I mean, no, I think that makes perfect sense. And it's interesting to see that it's something that sticks out a lot in, especially like holiday media in general. There are a lot of really fun, like nice holiday media, but there's also the ones that are depressing and have a moral to them.
Yeah. I think they all have some semblance of a moral to them, but you're right. Some of them are more depressing.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what really resonated with me was the idea of the Grinch's head not being screwed on quite right. And seeing that as a metaphor for someone who wakes up with a crick in their neck every day.
Whoa, okay.
Because
I definitely have been there.
Yeah, I don't wake up with a crick in my neck every day, but like maybe 1 or 2 days a month I wake up and my neck hurts and I'm like, I didn't even do anything. I was asleep. This is unfair.
This is unfair. I love that you said that. Yep. Like, this is just, I couldn't do anything about this.
Yeah, and it's like a thing, and actually something I do often wake up with are sinus headaches, especially this time of year when the furnace is starting to run a lot. And I will say that waking up with a headache or waking up with neck pain really colors my view of the day. And so I think I seem to recall, maybe I'm making this up, but in the cartoon, doesn't the Grinch sleep on like a rock?
I know. Oh, I don't remember, but I think there is a depiction of him sleeping very uncomfortably.
Yeah. And
I think that was the Jim Carrey
maybe
one.
it
might be.
I feel like I saw an interpretation of the Grinch where he slept on a rock or like just very uncomfortably, like Derek said. And that's going to make you grouchy. And that's going to make you want to destroy somebody else's Christmas.
Well, I guess that would be, there's adding an explanation as to why he lives on Mount Crumpet instead of in Whoville. So he's been outcast and he lives in a squalid kind of condition, and that's going to make you upset, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, just being a grouch, being a curmudgeon. If your shoes are too tight, that's going to make you crabby. Although I will argue that's a fixable problem.
Not if you, for sure. Not if you get your new shoes from Santa Claus and Santa Claus hasn't brought the Grinch shoes.
Yeah, well, he's been very naughty, so he shouldn't.
He has been very
shoes.
naughty.
For me, with the head not screwed on quite right, I've always kind of taken that as, I guess, a little less literally.
Sure.
In the whole aspect of, did he have maybe, for example, depression or some sort of social anxiety disorder, which, and maybe it's because I deal with similar issues, that kind of always resonated with me from that perspective.
Interesting because of the wording. This is a thing that people do with neurodivergent people, is kind of, through a lack of understanding, put the blame on them. Right. So phrasing it, maybe his head was just not screwed on right. That's saying it's because of him. It's a problem with him. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of telling because of how the rest of the story is told. I am jumping ahead in my notes a little bit here, but I looked a little bit at the idea of his heart being the wrong size. And it is explicitly said when his heart grew 3 sizes. In Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. It is not the narrator telling us that's what happened. It is folkloric or secondhand. So this is the perspective of the residents of Whoville. So again, we still never actually learn the inner workings of the Grinch's brain.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe his brain is his heart.
I would say that's not it being screwed on, right? So
yeah, right? If your brain's down there and pumping blood, something's gone wrong.
I did a little bit of math, because when I Googled this question, much of the responses I saw where it was clearly cardiovascular. And that joke was made 10 times in the brief Googling I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was the same person out, but specifically calling it cardiovascular.
Well, and I mean, I think it's important to note that, like, if you have, well, not even if your heart is small, but like if you have a problem with pumping blood, then you're going to feel lethargic. You're probably going to be cold all the time. And so there are a lot of symptoms where if you have like a circulatory problem, then you're probably going to feel a little bit miserable. And so if his heart was too small and it's not pumping a sufficient amount of blood, then he may have sort of like, not anemia, because anemia involves like the iron content of your blood, but like similar symptoms where, you know, but then again, if you look at all of the strenuous physical activity he does throughout the course of the story or the movie, he's climbing up and down chimneys, he's lifting large objects, he's chucking whole trees out of houses. I can't even lift a whole Christmas tree. I have to take it apart in pieces with my artificial tree. I don't imagine throwing a real tree out of a house.
Yeah, he's also lifting real trees, which are typically heavier.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think it was a small heart.
Well, and also with the heart comment, I actually had seen a similar comment, but this was from like an actual cardiologist.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cardiologist David Cass has suggested that the rapid growth of his heart at the end of the story indicates that the Grinch has the physiology of a Burmese python. And I had to look up why that was, and it turns out that a Burmese python's heart can like nearly double in size after a large meal within 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were going to say just that they had a proportionally larger heart, but it actually it grows in the snake's body.
Correct.
Wow.
And that the process is also reversible. It just it adjusts to meet the metabolic demands after digesting large prey.
Yeah.
Is the Grinch reptilian?
He's green. I don't think that really indicates anything, but it's the first thing I thought of.
He's usually depicted as having hair, though, so
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking up symptoms of an enlarged heart, and that can also be something that slows you down. So, like, according to the Mayo Clinic, some of the symptoms are shortness of breath, especially when lying flat, waking up short of breath, irregular heart rhythm, or swelling in the belly or in the legs. Now, he does have kind of a big belly.
He does.
But that was pre his heart growing, so that might just be part of his anatomy, because I don't even know what species he's supposed to be. Is he supposed to be a who?
It's unclear. In the Jim Carrey version, he is, but that's the only one that suggests he's a Grinch. Yeah, like as much as any other Dr. Seuss creature is what they are.
One thing I thought was really interesting about his heart growing 3 sizes is the idea of because when they show it in the cartoon, at least it triples in diameter. Let alone volume. And volume, it's much bigger, but it triples in size, basically. And so I was thinking about things inside of his body cavity being pushed out of the way, because I like when somebody is pregnant and there's this baby growing in them, it pushes all of their organs off to the side or up, or it really just makes a mess of the whole space in there. Like do you look at diagrams and pictures of this, and it is not good. But so I was thinking the same thing, but here's the thing, a baby inside of a stomach is down here. And I'm pointing at my belly. I don't know why that's helpful for an audio medium, but it's like down in the belly zone. And I
talk with my hands a lot. I get it.
Yeah, but I'm like down here, in this place you can see. But the baby's
here,
down,
listeners.
Down in the belly, and so all you have are like your intestines and things like that, and it pushes everything kind of up. But the Grinch's heart tripling in diameter in the chest cavity is going to push the stomach, the esophagus, the lungs, the liver. It's going to push a lot of things out of the way. He's probably going to die very quickly. And the other thing is that a baby in a stomach is growing over the course of 9 months. This happened in like 3-4 seconds, maybe.
Conversely, this is the heart returning to its normal size.
Well, I thought about that because here's the thing. In much the same way that after birth, all of the organs kind of shift back down where they should be. That's still a process. It takes a few weeks for everything to kind of return to where it is. So over the course of however many months or years his heart was already shrank, I'm imagining a lot of stuff sort of filled in that gap because it's not like there's a big air bubble around his heart or something like that. So I think everything kind of came in and then it like supernovaed back out. And this is kind of how supernovas happen as the core collapses and then expands back out. And he's lucky he didn't explode is what I'm saying.
So I want to suggest
that he should explode.
No. What if, because I was on this train of thought when you mentioned pushing the stomach down and pushing the digestive tract out of alignment. I want to suggest, what if one of the reasons he's the Grinch, one of the reasons he's grouchy all the time is he just has really bad indigestion all the time. And it just actually pushes it into a comfortable positioning inside of his torso there.
I know that with babies inside of the womb, that can cause a lot of acid reflux. Okay. Because it's kind of pushing on your actual stomach and kind of, squashing things back up your esophagus.
Yeah, I don't know. So I feel like there's going to be a handful of people that are sitting there being like, you guys are dumb. This is the answer. So it's worth mentioning that the heart growing is metaphorical.
True.
Yes. However, we're having much more fun. So that's.
Also, they did show on TV in the cartoon, a big X-ray thing pops up and it shows the heart physically growing.
Yes, in the 2-dimensional animated depiction of the Grinch.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
Look, I think they do it in the Jim Carrey one too.
Probably.
I think they do. I think you're right. Speaking of writers who use subtext, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Dr. Seuss here, like, this was all stuff you're supposed to read between the lines. Dr. Seuss was a genius.
This is why he's a doctor.
That's true, canonically. I did some heart size math a little bit because I don't know how much this is going to be relevant, but it may lead to something, so I want to mention it. 'Cause in the original book, it is suggested that perhaps the Grinch's heart is 2 sizes too small. However, we don't have confirmation on that. So assuming it was already 2 sizes down, which is what, H minus 2 for heart size, right? I'm making this up. I don't have math written down. So it would be, when it grows 3 sizes, it would be heart size
+1.
+1. Correct. So it would be heart size 2. Or no, positive 1. So it would be normal. It would be normal size.
No, because it was 2 sizes too small, and then it grows 3 sizes. So it is actually now 1 size too big.
You're right. So it is heart size 2 if 1 is base heart size. So it's heart size 2, which is bigger than average, but manageable.
Yeah.
However, if it started at size 1 and the speculative 2 sizes too small is not accurate, because again, we never have that confirmed, then it grows 3 sizes. It is now heart size 4. So I want to know, is that better or worse?
Are people with B+ blood better at blood?
Are they better at blood than people with B- blood?
I think it's also worth mentioning that if you have an enlarged heart, it doesn't really change your personality. It just changes your health. So,
well, it might change your personality a little bit if you're like in pain all the time because of your chest pains.
Yeah, if you're having a lot of fainting spells, which according to the Mayo Clinic, if you start fainting with an enlarged heart, you should go to the doctor immediately.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's
our
true.
Public service announcement number whatever for the
Yeah.
year.
I haven't been keeping track.
At least 3.
So I guess I'll also put this out there. If we assume if he started with a smaller heart and it grew,
Yeah.
it could be that the part of the reason he is now nice is because now all of those hormones and neurotransmitters that needed to be circulating through the body weren't circulating properly prior.
They were getting stuck in the feet.
And now can.
Sure. It's all
That's
chemical.
That's like when you're pumping gas and the gas pump is like one of those real wimpy ones and it takes you like 15 minutes to pump gas into your car. And then you go to like a different gas station and they've got one of the ones where it's like, 10 gallons in 2 minutes. And same thing with the Grinch, except it's, serotonin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Presumably that makes sense.
Serotonin's the right one, right?
Serotonin's happy.
The other thing I was thinking about, not related to the heart, but just at the very end of the cartoon, and maybe in the book too, the sled's about to fall off the hill, and suddenly his heart grows, and then he's got super strength. And that makes me think of instances where people have sort of demonstrated those superhuman abilities whenever there's a really high stress situation, where people allegedly are able to lift up cars off of people to save them and things like that. And I think it's just kind of interesting that this is a thing that kicks in when he starts feeling like compassion and joy for the first time.
In the Jim Carrey version, and this is a point in favor of the Jim Carrey version, he has a moment where the sleigh is going over the mountain and he's like, oh, I shouldn't have stolen all the toys. Oh, well, they're just toys. And then little Taylor Momsen climbs over and reveals that she's on the sleigh. And he then has to summon strength to save her rather than the presents, which I think is a nice addition to the whole theme of like superficiality that they were trying to touch on.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because he's right. It's like, it's just stuff. We can always get more stuff. But then there's a person that you can't get more people. I mean, you can get more people, but it will be different people.
Yeah, you can't get the same specific people. But the original version is very much the symbolism of he is now generous and giving, right? And
yeah.
So it still works in the original context.
And he even got to carve the roast beast.
He did. The Grinch
he did
himself.
Indeed.
So the last note I have is maybe a more sentimental one than a scientific one, but what the hey? The real kind of takeaway from the story, I think, is it's supposed to be pretty clear that the reason he hates it is that he doesn't understand it. And Jim's already touched on this, is like people have kind of lost the Christmas spirit, I think that's really what the Grinch is going through, and talking about the heart growing and giving him the strength to lift the thing. We actually see the moment he comes to the realization. Maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. It is after he comes to this realization that they say his heart grew. So I think all of that is a reaction to him having this revelation. So that's really my last note, but I wanted to put it in there.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, listeners, let us know, what's your favorite adaptation of the Grinch? What'd you like about them, and what didn't you like about them? In the meantime, we do have a separate, second, wholly different question to explore in this holiday episode. Question 2 this week is, how do we modernize Santa's vehicle? I like that it specifically says vehicle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rocket-powered jet skiff.
That's the answer.
Then
Snowmobile. He gets a snowmobile.
Checkmate. Done.
I got that from Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, did you? Okay, I never watched that.
That's fair.
Doofenshmirtz rocket-powered jet skiff.
So I have some notes. I think I don't have a direct answer to this question, so I want to hear what you guys have before I dive into.
I mean,
what
I
I've
don't
prepared.
hate the idea of rocket-powered jet skiff.
Okay,
No,
we've
I
heard
think
what
that's
Jim
actually
has
pretty
to
fun.
say.
So I do want to add a caveat on this because actually
Okay.
my wife and I were having a discussion and I was talking to her about the points I was going to bring up. And she was like, you're making a lot of assumptions
Sure.
based on the kind of modern and classic like interpretations of
Ooh. You may be on the same line as me.
Santa and the sleigh, and that for example, one of the things I was saying is that get rid of the reindeer. You don't need them today.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought up that actually, if you're running this major, massive operation like he is, one, you're going to be underground, which means you're going to need a lot more access to like fuel sources. And interestingly, because of their diet, reindeer poop, one, is going to be totally frozen, but two, can then be burned as a biofuel.
Okay.
And so there's actually a lot of reasons to not abandon some of the classic aspects of it.
Sure.
But I will admit, I am going on the perspective of, with those in mind, how would I improve it? And because of some of the upgrades, I don't want reindeer there because I don't want them to get hurt.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it possible that you could just keep reindeer for a fuel source, but not use them to drive the sleigh?
Oh.
Absolutely. And I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because the other thing she brought up too is that the Nordic style of keeping reindeer is, instead of like keeping them in a stable like we see, you follow the herd and then borrow them when, like, you borrow some of them when you need to do things, and then you return them to the herd.
I mean, most of what we see come from Dutch American settlers interpreting how to keep reindeer. So you are absolutely correct. That's not likely how it would work.
Right. So ignoring all of that, which is a massive, I will freely admit, is definitely going a direction that is kind of losing some critical thought to it. But I kind of came at this,
bring it, Joe,
in kind of a fun way. First thing, VTOL system. For those who don't know, that stands for vertical takeoff and landing.
Oh, ooh,
okay.
I like it.
Now, why do you need this? It's actually just to leave home.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that you don't need, because classically in a lot of media these days, you see that there's usually some sort of like runway system. Nah, forget that. Vertical takeoff and landing.
Yeah. And the other thing is that if you look at the architecture of a lot of houses around the world, I feel like either the house may not have enough space for a team of 8 reindeer to land on the roof, or it might be made of a material that can't support the weight of a sleigh and reindeer. So
precisely. On top of that, many VTOL systems allow for a hovering rather than needing to directly land. So, but that means, the big man got to get off of his sleigh and get in the house. How's he get back in? Easy. HFRS system. Helicopter Flight Rescue System. This system utilizes balloons. Well, there's a variant of it that uses balloons. The normal helicopter flight rescue system uses winches and pulleys and rope, but there is also a version called STARS, which uses balloons to capture someone moving at high speed. Okay. And since he's got to be moving fast, maybe you go for the STARS system instead.
What are some of the safety features of that? Because now I'm thinking, at high speeds, are you going to be hitting the sides of the chimney on the way back up?
So it depends on which version you're using. So if you're going with the the initial flight rescue system, the HFRS. Generally speaking, because this is what you see when you have helicopters performing search and rescue. So you have like a full rescue harness. Generally, it's dual hooks. You've got additional belly bands. There's a main line load with a separate load being used to actually operate the lift. There is usually some sort of stretcher carriage device, which can then instead be used to lift, his bag rather than him while he's attached via the harness. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about the STARS system, that one, I will admit, is a bit more dangerous. And that is mostly because you are more reliant on whoever is piloting the plane or aircraft, because this is actually used generally in a moving plane rather than a hovering helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're
that might be a trouble.
If you're getting rid of the reindeer, which a lot of times Santa stories depict the reindeer as being smart enough to drive the sleigh themselves, is someone else piloting this craft while Santa is making the deliveries?
Oh. I think it would be interesting to have like a co-pilot in much the same way that a rally racer has a co-pilot, where the co-pilot, I don't think they're called co-pilots in rally racing, but there's a person who sits in the passenger seat who basically shouts out directions to the driver because they're driving so fast on such narrow, winding, twisting roads that somebody needs to be like, all right, in 30 meters, you're turning right. And the driver just does it. And I bet, with how fast Santa travels, that's not the worst idea. Even with reindeer, I think that might be a good idea.
Okay. A lot of times there is like a head elf that goes along for the ride as well, too. So, so I explored this question in two different avenues. And Joe has touched on a lot of things that you thought of things I didn't think of, but like in the same vein of modernizing the technology of the vehicle. But there's another avenue of modernizing the vehicle narratively that I think is I guess the less intuitive way to explore the question.
Okay.
But the former is always a product of keeping the story what it was. And as you already mentioned, making a lot of assumptions that Santa is, driving a sleigh with reindeer. If we're going to modernize that, do we have to build from the reindeer? Do we have to build from what is already there? So I have an actual answer as in terms of how would I modify the sleigh. But before I get to that, I looked into where does this idea of the sleigh come from, which led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole that I think will be interesting. So the very first depiction of Santa Claus in a sleigh driving reindeer comes from an 1821 poem anonymously published in a New York magazine called Old Santa Claus with Much Delight. And just to read the first stanza of it for fun. Old Santa Claus, with much delight, his reindeer drives this frosty night, o'er chimney tops and tracks of snow, to bring his yearly gifts to you. I read the rest of the poem, trying to see, is there a specific reference? Because this is the first time in known publication there is a reference to Santa Claus driving reindeer. So I read the rest of the poem to see, does it specifically mention a sleigh? You can intuit a sleigh because you would drive a reindeer pulling something. But the important part of this poem is that it was illustrated. And in the show notes, I've included the illustration from this poem of Santa Claus driving a reindeer in a sleigh. Before that, there wasn't really any reference of what Santa Claus drove. In 1823, A Visit from St. Nicholas, which you all know, 'Twas a Night Before Christmas, appears suggesting Santa Claus visits not only the house of the speaker of the poem, but also other houses as well. This is the first time in recorded history that we have Santa Claus visiting every house or every child in the world. And what's interesting about specifically Santa Claus's vehicles, St. Nicholas has been associated with travel and seafaring since at least the mid to late 1500s. The image of St. Nicholas as a protector of children and sailors and trade was likely brought to the Netherlands during the Spanish occupation, when Dutch sailors met Catholic Spanish sailors on their travels. St. Nicholas protected their vessels and protected the trade. After the Spanish occupation ended in the Netherlands, the tradition of St. Nicholas stayed, and this is actually why in New England, when there were Dutch settlers, we have the story of Sinterklaas. And most of our commercial Santa Claus stories come from Dutch settlements in New York, is because of this cultural evolution. So I think it's fascinating that Santa Claus has always been, not always, but at least from the 1500s, has been associated with world travel. Now, to get back to what I said before, I do have an answer to how do we modernize the technology. Since we are talking about the early 1800s, and we have designed a sleigh drawn by reindeer that can travel the entire world in one night, stopping at every child's house, I would argue that the magic or whatever unknowable eldritch technology Santa Claus has in his sleigh is already way ahead of any technology we have in real life. So I wouldn't modernize it at all. However, I do want to mention, because a lot of the things that Joe was saying reminded me of the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, or the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell are the two big ones. But it's been done a lot where they kind of give the sleigh a makeover to make it kind of look more technologically impressive, and they give it like a gauge that says, this is how much Christmas spirit you have, or it flies on joy, or whatever. And I think it's interesting that a lot of media, the idea of modernizing the technology always kind of turns into leaning further into sci-fi aesthetics than fantasy aesthetics.
Yeah.
And so my real answer to the whole thing is, if we have magic, let's just use magic.
Well, any sufficiently advanced magic is indistinguishable from... No. Any sufficiently advanced science is indistinguishable from magic. We got there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a cop-out answer, but that's my answer.
Well, no, I don't think so, because, I mean, the thing about... Santa being able to do this is that it is a superpower, effectively, and sometimes you don't want to mess with a good thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I do like Joe's point, though, about like if we don't include the reindeer, it is safer for the reindeer.
Yeah. Especially because I still have more upgrades, but I was letting you guys get some words in.
Oh, go for it.
So I do have 3 more. Cool. 3 more upgrades. The one is actually a very common, like we see it in, again, you mentioned like the Santa Claus, or I'm blanking on
the Christmas
one of the newer
Chronicles
ones with Anna Kendrick. But you give it GPS, like that's an easy one. But
sure,
you see, I'm looking for ultimate efficiency. So you provide him an M137 105 millimeter present delivery system.
I like it.
What's that, you say? Well,
Jim, I mean, I do want to know, but also based on the model number, I'm like, I'm going to like this, and you don't even have to say anything further, but I do want to hear the answer.
Well, Jim, to answer that question, that is a howitzer.
Nice.
But it is a howitzer that is, but it's a howitzer that is a recoilless howitzer.
Ooh.
That is mounted on the military's AC-130.
Perfect.
Additionally, I'm going to say give him 25 millimeter equalizer cannons, GAU 12 specifically. However, they're modified to spray snow so that you get that perfect image. And sleeping gas because, you're firing a howitzer, so people are going to wake up.
Yeah.
But for the record, I do want to point out that Santa is still personally delivering the presents to good children. The howitzer is for the coal.
I may want to interject here and say I don't think we should shoot naughty children with coal from howitzers.
For the record, you're not shooting the children. You are shooting their tree.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not hitting anything alive.
I'm gonna let
Ideally.
you continue, Joe, but just
Nope, that's
my
it. That was
objection
it.
my objection is on record.
And for the record, I agree. You should never, ever shoot children with any form of weapon. Period.
And especially not blue coal, which is America's favorite anthracite.
It is American. It's
It
given
is, in
that color so that you can tell the difference. The audience won't get this, Jim.
Nope.
That's okay.
But no, I think you use the M137 to deliver the coal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use the 25 millimeter GAL 12 equalizers to make sure everyone else stays asleep during that delivery, as well as when you are then delivering the presents.
Yeah.
So Santa is still delivering presents in person. Let me ask you this one. What if you have a household with two children and one of them is naughty and one of them is nice?
Easy. Both.
Does Santa deliver the presents
Santa
first,
drops in. Santa drops in, gently places down the present, uses his handy dandy HFRS to return to the sleigh, aims the howitzer, and fires.
So there's a lesson to be learned here, because that's undoubtedly going to destroy the present of the good child, but then the bad child has ruined
Do you know
it
why?
forever. Go ahead.
Because he's magic.
Ah, there it is.
Well, then why any of this?
Well, even if he's magic, he still has to have fun somehow.
That's just what Santa does in his past.
Yeah,
Come on,
you gotta enjoy
can't,
your job.
You can't tell me going into a night vision aiming system, aiming a 105 millimeter cannon of coal at a household isn't fun.
Well, I've never done it, but...
And if it becomes a really serious problem, then he can always do the coal first and then deliver the nice child's
Well, that was
present.
going to be my pitch, because then...
Because then it's okay then.
Preserved. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
I get what you're
problem.
doing. You're delivering coal.
Here's the problem. That's not quite as fun, though, or efficient, because now all of a sudden, when he goes to deliver the present, instead of having to have the mystique of coming down the chimney and having to sneak around, no, there's just a giant hole in the house.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
This is all for Santa Claus's vanity of when he delivers the present, he has to be able to slip in there unnoticed and then blow up the house later.
Yeah, exactly.
You see, now you're getting it.
Yeah, my objection is on record. Love it.
Honestly, at this point, I think you just give him an AC 130.
What's an AC 130?
A giant plane that actually carries multiple of that 105 millimeter cannon, also multiple 25 millimeter cannons, and then also has other large caliber weapons, all generally used for delivering loads of presents to children.
This is the alternate universe when Burgermaster, what's the guy's name, Jim?
Oh, Meisterburger.
Meisterburger in an alternate universe is the one that becomes Santa Claus, and this is his approach.
For the record, you would actually name this one because there's obviously with military technology, there's always added letters at the end. This would be the AC 130 SC variant, standing for Santa Claus.
Santa Claus variant, yeah.
And so it would be totally modified so that it is invisible to radar, and then the weapons do not and are incapable of delivering bullets just presents and coal and
Yes.
snow and sleeping gas.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's constantly showering snow, right? And then
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
underneath it creates a layer of fog or clouds so that you just
Yes.
think that it's a snow cloud.
Yep. And then that's actually because you're now using a giant AC-130. Now it makes sense to use the Fulton surface to air recovery system, which is again that STARS system I was referring to.
Yes.
I mean, if he can get up to the rooftop, I think that would be fine because then you're not banging up against the inside of the chimney.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Sure. That's important. We don't want to damage the chimney.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about not damaging Santa, but I also agree you probably shouldn't leave any trace of your
I was
entry.
thinking we've already damaged the house quite a bit.
Yeah. The last thing that I was thinking about, and I don't quite remember what ended up happening in this episode, but back in episode 166, 30 horses on individual hamster wheels.
Sure.
I'm like, what if we built some kind of flying contraption that was powered by 8 or 9 reindeer, depending on, if you want to include Rudolph in this or not, running on large individual hamster wheels? Because I know we talked about that in that episode, and I can't really remember what the finale was.
Specifically remember mentioning in Final Fantasy X on the ship, you see chocobos running in little wheels, and they're powering the engine, and that's kind of what I
do with reindeer.
Yeah. And their reindeer just get exercise and they have fun.
Yeah.
That's the real takeaway here is the reindeer need to have fun.
Yeah. Is everyone having fun? If yes, great.
Yeah. And again, that's more my aspect of I'm looking to remove the animal cruelty aspect.
Well, don't fire any coal at them then.
Well, because I mean, look at it this way: you're forcing, 8 or 9 reindeer to sprint around the world at roughly the speed of light.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the Rankin Bass cinematic universe is to be believed, the reindeer are in fact sentient and do enjoy their job, though.
Oh yeah, I think the reindeer are having fun, and that's where the magic comes in because. And I'm a Santa Claus apologist here. This is known about me. The idea that driving a sleigh pulled by animals is possibly animal cruelty, depending on where you are in the world, depending on how exactly the animals are treated. I will just go on record of saying it is my firm belief that Santa Claus treats his reindeer very well, and they love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
When I was a kid, we always left out packets of sugar for the reindeer.
Oh, we did that. I insisted one year on putting a bowl on the roof of food for the reindeer. Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know if that happened. I don't remember, but I remember insisting that because Santa and you know what I think actually happened is it explained to me that Santa Claus comes down and eats the milk and cookies and then can bring the food back up to the reindeer.
Yeah, because he's been unburdened from the toys.
Sure.
Yeah. I would say I know when I was much younger, I would demand we leave out like broccoli and carrots.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
For the reindeer or for Santa?
For the reindeer specifically, and then milk and cookies for Santa.
Gotcha.
I would wake up and wouldn't you know, most of the broccoli and carrots would have bite marks in it.
Mm-hmm.
In them.
That makes sense. Reindeer's got to eat.
Yeah. Reindeer got to eat.
All right, listeners, let us know this week. Why does the Grinch hate reindeer? Does the Grinch hate reindeer? I don't know. He shouldn't. If you have thoughts on that or anything else we talked about, you can email us at feedback@vaguelyscientific.com, or you can comment on our blog on the website. You like us on Facebook, or you can follow us on Blue Sky @vaguelyscientific. And we are smack dab in the middle of Hanukkah as this releases, so happy Hanukkah. Hey, Jim, where do we get all these wacky questions?
We get them from you, the listeners. And if you have a question that needs to be answered in a vaguely scientific manner, email us at questions@vaguelyscientific.com. If you want to get our episodes the minute that they're released, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and all the other great places the cool podcasts like to hang out. And subscribing and leaving feedback really helps us out. And so does telling your friends.
Tell your friends and
tell them.
Yeah.
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 Our vaguely
Do it.
musical intro was composed by Anthony Pizzelli. And don't forget to check out our merch store over at vaguelyscientific.threadless.com. I don't know when this episode's coming out, but it may be too late to get something fun for the holidays for a loved one or an enemy. I don't judge.
Be sure it's a week before Christmas.
You have plenty of time to get something for your loved ones and enemies. So check out our
As
store.
long as you're willing to pay for better shipping.
That's true. I don't know what shipping's like right now.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to the shipping.
Same.
Don't overpay for shipping. We don't see any of that.
Yeah. But don't let that discourage you from buying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Joe for being our guest this week.
Happy to be here. Happy to talk about howitzers, especially when they're loaded with coal.
Coal-filled howitzers. For Vaguely Scientific, I am Derek.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Joe.
That's the end of our show, and my time was terrific, spent with my friends on Vaguely Scientific. But now we must go until next time, all right? Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.
Toodaloo, everyone.
Oh.
I was going to ask if you would do that, even if we'd... That's interesting. So I think the real...
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to apologize for completely derailing from the Grinch.
Oh, because I didn't do that already.